Coming up next on Arizona Horizon, more big news from the U.S. Supreme Court today. The justices decide on 2 same-sex marriage cases. We'll hear from those who support and oppose the rulings. And we'll find out about a local high-tech company that works to make other products better. Those stories next on Arizona Horizon.
Arizona Horizon is made possible by contributions from the Friends of 8, members of your Arizona PBS station. Thank you.
Good evening and welcome to Arizona Horizon. I'm Ted Simons. The U.S. Supreme Court today decided that legally married same-sex couples cannot be denied federal benefits. And the court essentially threw out a case involving California's Proposition 8, which banned gay marriages. The justices ruled in that case that private parties had no legal right to defend the measure. The justices did not rule on the merits of the case, so today's ruling allows same-sex marriages to continue in California. We will hear from an attorney who helped defend Proposition 8. But first, we welcome Rebecca Winninger, president of the Equality Arizona Board of Directors. Good to have you here.
Thank you.
Your thoughts on today's, let's start with the Defense of Marriage Act. DOMA, your thoughts?
Both cases today were a historic decision for us, and it's very nice because this week is also the 44th anniversary of the Stonewall riots and the 10th anniversary of Lawrence versus Texas, the overturning Supreme Court decision that basically overturns the sodomy laws across the United States. So for these two cases to fall this week was just a little bit more in LGBT history.
Was today's decision, both of them, were they a surprise?
No, they weren't. I was a little bit surprised, DOMA, with the oral arguments that I thought it might swing a 6-3 or even a 7-2 vote, so for it to come to a 5-4 was a little close. And we were speculating on California whether they would actually rule, or with the questions mostly coming from Justice Kennedy, whether they would actually just vote with no standing in it, which is what they chose to do
Which
today.
is what they... Well, you know, I wanted to start with DOMA. Let's go to California's Prop 8, because a lot of people are confused exactly what the no standing does. It essentially says, get this out of here and start all over again?
No, what it does is it vacates my understanding is it vacates the Ninth Court of Appeals decision and takes it back to the district court for their ruling, and the Supreme Court says by that ruling you basically dismiss the case. So equal marriages in California will be up and going very quickly.
So get this out of here, period.
Pretty much,
yeah.
Yes.
Okay, let's get back to Defense of Marriage Act. What does this mean now to Arizona same-sex couples?
It doesn't mean a thing. I mean, people in Arizona woke up this morning as a second-class citizen. The rulings came down, and tonight we'll go to bed second-class citizens. All the DOMA strike down does is institute federal benefits for those who qualify and who do have a legal marriage. So, for example, if 2 men get married in New York, which is legal, and one of them, say, is part of the Air Force and then is stationed here in the Luke Air Force Base, because of what it is as a federal benefit, those 2 married men will get federal benefits. But as far as for just the working class gay people here in Arizona, nothing has changed.
Well, they get federal benefits as long as they remain on the... I mean, once they leave that base, they're back in Arizona. Do they not get... Do Arizona same-sex couples qualify for federal benefits?
And that's what the question is going to become. I mean, we have lots of legal scholars on both sides working through the quagmire that's created, but from everything that we can tell, it will take some time, but people who have been married legally in other states, even if they move to a state that doesn't honor that, will still be recognized at the federal level.
At the federal level.
But when it comes to states' rights, no, you're not.
So if you get married in California and you're a same-sex couple, you are a married couple, and you move to Arizona, federally you're a married couple, state-wise,
That's our understanding.
Okay. Lawsuits equal rights. I mean, equal rights for one person in one state as opposed to one person in another. Do you see lawsuit action coming out of this?
You know, and that's something that we're going to have to look at. We have, both our side and our opponent's side have their legal teams that are trying to interpret these courts' decisions and see what lawsuits are in line right now with other challenges. I know that there are challenges in Hawaii, challenges in Nevada, which are part of our circuit courts. So those could essentially affect Arizona down the road. But right now, we're trying to see what's our best course of action for Arizona, be it judicial, be it ballot initiative, or be it legislature.
General questions here. Why were today's rulings good for the country?
You know, I think even when you go back to when women were starting to get their rights in voting, it was a push and pull. I mean, a lot of people said women still belong in the kitchen, barefoot and pregnant, so to speak, and it took a while. It was the same way with civil rights. It took a while to build up, and then the momentum came across the country, and we shifted into this is the right thing to do. And so I think this is one of the next evolutions in our country for civil rights. Is part of the LGBT community, and that's why it was good for us today that the court was validating what we're seeing in some states the legislature do, some at the balloting, and now the courts are doing it, so you're seeing the momentum be consistent and beginning to move across the country.
I know critics of same-sex marriage, though, are saying that the court really found no right to same-sex marriage in the Constitution with today's rulings. Is that how you see it?
They didn't find any right to same-sex marriage, but they didn't find any right not to have same-sex marriage. I've heard political pundits go back and forth that the DOMA case could be broad because one of the things that they did talk about was the Equal Protection Clause. And if that's the door that they've opened for us, then probably by judicial standard, then anybody could challenge that and potentially win.
And that's what I was asking earlier regarding equal rights from one state to another. It would seem as though there would be some court action possible. Again, it's so hard to tell, especially so fresh after the ruling.
Correct.
For those who are proponents of traditional marriage, they say it protects kids. It's not meant to celebrate romantic relationships. It's meant to help society by way of a family structure and these sorts of things. How do you respond?
Well, first off, I would say when you're protecting children, that's an insult to all the single parents and non-traditional families out there who are doing a damn good job raising their children by any means necessary. And as far as traditional marriage goes, you know, marriage predates most organized religions. And if marriage is strictly a religious covenant, why is it that a mayor and a justice of the peace and a judge and a ship's captain can perform a wedding ceremony, and I can spend 10 minutes on the internet with $35 and become ordained to perform marriages here in Arizona? And the last couple of weddings I've attended here in Arizona, the person performing the marriage still says, by the power vested in me by the state of Arizona, which is a governmental entity, I now pronounce you man and wife. So I think marriage is a term that's kind of been hijacked by religious institutions incorrectly. I would prefer to see the religious institutions use the term holy matrimony and then leave marriages just for the general purpose.
And we should note that today's ruling says nothing about religious organizations and how they choose to see a marriage.
No, and that is still, I kind of chuckle every time someone talks about defending churches or religions from not performing same-sex marriages because they already have that protection. You know, Catholic churches won't perform a wedding unless you attend their marriage courses. Potentially Orthodox synagogues may not perform a wedding unless both are converted to Judaism. So religions already reserve the right not to perform a same-sex marriage, and that's not what we're trying to do. We're not trying to force any marriage on any religion that you must perform it. All we're saying is if I am part of a religion or I want to go down to the county courthouse to get married, not a civil union, but actually married, I should have the right to do so and be equal with my partner as much as you are with your wife.
Well, Rebecca Winninger, thank you for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
We want to hear from you. Submit your questions, comments, and concerns via email at arizonahorizon@asu.edu.
Joining me now for a different perspective on today's Supreme Court rulings on same-sex marriage is Jim Campbell, a Scottsdale-based Alliance Defending Freedom and co-counsel on the legal team defending California's Proposition 8. Good to have you here. Thanks for joining us.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, your thoughts on today's rulings, both of them?
Well, I think the big takeaway from today's rulings is that both in the DOMA case and in the Proposition 8 case, the Supreme Court affirmed that the people throughout the states around this country have the right to decide the question of marriage for themselves. They have a right to decide and debate the future of marriage and ultimately to determine for themselves what they want marriage to be.
Were either one of these decisions a surprise to you?
There's no way to know what the Supreme Court is going to do, so we didn't really have an expectation one way or another. But we were hopeful that the Supreme Court would allow the marriage debate to continue where it belongs, with the people, for them to discuss the truth and the benefits of marriage between a man and a woman, and ultimately to affirm that.
And as far as Arizona same-sex couples, what does it mean? What do these rulings mean?
It doesn't have any immediate impact in terms of the state marriage laws here in Arizona. So the marriage laws of the state of Arizona as defined in the Constitution, which the people voted on in 2008, declares that marriage is the union of a man and a woman.
Okay. What does it mean to Arizona traditional couples? Because I want to get further into this in a minute or so, because the defense of DOMA has always been that marriage needs to be protected. These rulings today, what happens to traditional couples, traditional marriage?
Traditional couples, traditional marriage, again, this issue remains for the people, and this does not affect the state marriage laws around the country.
It doesn't affect the laws, but what does it mean to the institution?
What does it mean to the institution of marriage? It means that the people can continue to discuss the question and can continue to debate, what is marriage? What does it mean in our society? What do we want it to be? Do we want to affirm marriage as the union of a man and a woman? Do we want to affirm it as an institution that has always existed to bring together men and women to be husband and wives, and ultimately to be mothers and fathers to their own children? If that's the purpose of marriage, then the people need to continue to affirm it as the union of a man and a woman.
And you are on the side of saying that that is the purpose of marriage.
That is the purpose of marriage, that's correct.
Okay, so was this, so the proponents of today's, those who support today's ruling say that it's a win for equal treatment under the law. You say...
We say that the Supreme Court, again, did not address the matter of what the states can do. So ultimately, the states can continue to affirm traditional marriage, and that does not deny equal treatment under the law. Simply recognizing that marriage is the union of a man and a woman acknowledges the truth that there is a basic biological difference between opposite-sex and same-sex couples.
When it comes to benefits, though, and these sorts of things, the court did seem to show an equal treatment consideration here, did they not?
Well, we don't need to redefine the institution of marriage to provide rights and benefits to all unmarried couples, not just same-sex couples. So to focus on that question is really irrelevant when we're debating state by state the issue of what marriage is.
Let's get to some of the arguments from those who do support same-sex marriage. They say that DOMA treated loving and committed couples as separate and a lesser class of people. Respond, please.
Well, the response to that, again, is what I said before. It simply acknowledges that there is a basic biological difference between opposite-sex and same-sex couples. Opposite-sex couples can provide children with their own mother and father, which is the purpose of marriage. Because of the biological difference, same-sex couples cannot do that.
Justice Kennedy comment in his ruling here commented that DOMA, his quote was, humiliates tens of thousands of children now being raised by same-sex couples. How do you respond to that?
Well, the response to that is we don't need to redefine the institution of marriage in order to provide for children being raised by same-sex couples. There's no doubt that children are raised by same-sex couples. And despite their unquestioned efforts, they can never provide a child with a mother and father. So the purpose of marriage is to do just that, and therefore redefining marriage simply doesn't fit within its purpose.
And again, the idea that couples and families, they're now getting the respect and the protection that they deserve. You're saying yes, but?
We're saying that there is no disrespect to same-sex couples in acknowledging that marriage is the union of a man and a woman. It's simply acknowledging that there is a difference between the two, a difference rooted in biology. It's no disrespect. It simply acknowledges that marriage exists to bring together a man and a woman as husband and wife to be a mother and father to any child their union produces.
But I think the other side would suggest that there would be disrespect and, as Justice Kennedy mentioned, humiliation for the children of those kinds of families. There is not a biological man and a biological woman, but they do have two parents, and they are being raised in what they consider a loving and stable home. You're saying it can never be as loving and stable?
Not what we're saying at all. We're saying that when you look at the purpose of marriage, it's to provide children with their mother and father. Opposite-sex couples can do that, same-sex couples cannot. So it's simply focusing on the purpose of marriage. It's not at all focusing on the respective abilities of opposite-sex couples versus same-sex couples. It's just acknowledging that on the average, when we look at social science, children tend to do best when raised by their own married mother and father.
What about adopted children?
The social science indicates that they perform just a little bit under children that are raised by their own mother and father. So society has a right and an interest in promoting the natural mother and father above all else.
I want to read real quickly a quote from President Obama. His quote was, "When all Americans are treated as equal, no matter who they are or whom they love, we are all more free." Respond to that, please.
Again, this affirming marriage as the union of a man and a woman is not a denial of equal treatment or equal protection or a denial of fairness. It is simply an acknowledgement of a basic biological difference.
Can you acknowledge the basic biological difference and still restore the benefits and the things that these folks were fighting for?
There are mechanisms that the law could provide, aside from redefining marriage, that could provide financial benefits to unmarried couples, including same-sex couples.
Where do you see this issue going from here? I know you were involved with California's Prop 8. What happens over there? What happens in Arizona? What happens to the entire issue?
The question will continue to be in the hands of the people. So the people will continue to do what they've been doing over the last decade or two. They will debate the question. They will ask themselves, what is marriage? And if they believe, as millennia after millennia has shown us, that marriage exists to bring together men and women as husband and wife, to be a mother and father to any child that their union produces, then they will affirm marriage as the union of a man and a woman.
It's good to have you here. Thanks for joining us.
Thanks for having me.
Tonight's look at Arizona technology and innovation focuses on Nanovoltaic, a Phoenix-based high-tech firm that helps other companies improve their products. One of those customers is Arizona State University, which employed Nanovoltaics to help design and maintain tanks to grow what some see as the ultimate in clean, green energy. Producer Laurie Allen and photographer Scott Olson have the story.
This is a photobioreactor. Think of it as a high-tech fish tank, but instead of fish, it grows algae.
Look at the hose.
At the ASU Polytechnic campus, these engineers with Nanovoltaics designed the equipment and test beds to take algae from the lab to a gas pump.
Well, 5 years ago when I came to Nanovoltaics, if you told me I'd be growing algae, helping people grow algae, trying to squeeze oil out of algae, I would have told you you're crazy.
Nanovoltaics was a small startup. The staff came from the semiconductor industry.
How hard is it to build a thin fish tank? We thought, no problem. But I tell you, the first row of reactors we installed out there, all of them cracked. And so we were humbled.
But after long days, a determined Nanovoltaics team solved the problems.
Kind of almost a red.
They really bring a lot of engineering expertise to us. Something that, while we have engineering faculty and we have engineering students, it's really the practical side of things. And Nanovoltaics really helps us, formalize the things that are running around in our head and figure out how to implement them. And so it's been great having them as resources and partners with respect to the engineering work that we do, as well as with respect to the facilities development that we've done. They've been a key partner with respect to all of the testbed expansion that we've done.
ASU is just one of Nanovoltaics' satisfied customers, but that's saying a lot since this is the nation's largest testbed in a university setting.
We've worked with other firms in the past, and to be honest, with respect to the ones that kind of get working with an academic institution and get working with the bureaucracy that can exist at a large-scale university, Nanovoltaics has, by and large, always been one of the easiest companies for us to work with respect to getting things done. They're very, very flexible. They understand us.
Here now to tell us more about Nanovoltaics is the company's CEO, Hank DeWard. Good to have you here.
Thank you.
Define, if you would, nanotechnology and nanomaterials. What are we talking about here?
Well, nanotechnology in general is technology that acts at the nanoscale, talking about materials that behave differently at the nanoscale than macroscopically in the real world. So it's a very broad topic. We only touch on a small segment of that.
Indeed. How does that then affect things like technology and resource issues?
Well, our focus as a company is on producing, designing and manufacturing equipment for algae. So our customers are companies that produce algae, and algae is very important, for example, for the production of biofuels, and especially longer term will be very important for that. Although right now it may not be economically viable yet for biofuel production, but algae is already important for other applications, such as in nutraceuticals.
Talk about that. What are nutraceuticals, and how does algae play a part?
Well, everybody knows about omega-3s, that
yes.
They're healthy for you, they're good for you. Well, algae actually is an excellent source of omega-3 fatty acids. And there are several companies out there that are now ramping up production to produce algae for that very purpose, to make omega-3 fatty acids, because it's such an excellent source of that healthy oil.
And when you were involved in these products, again, are you helping the company along? How much involved do you get, and how much involved in the final product are you?
So we are not the biologists or the phycologists who know everything about which strain of algae to use for a particular purpose. That happens in research institutes such as at ASU, where ASCADI is the Arizona Center for Algae Technology and Innovation, has a leading position in that research nationwide. We are the engineers, and our focus is on getting the technology out of the research lab and turn it into production capability. So we design equipment that allows our customers to produce the algae in high volume at a low cost.
Your company is also involved in things like thermal insulation and removing arsenic from drinking water, these sorts of things. Talk to us about that.
Yeah, that is correct. That's actually a different aspect of our company, where we have two main focuses. One is the algae production equipment, which is a little bit further along. We actually work for commercial customers, and some of the revenues we make doing that, we fund our own internal R&D on nanomaterials. And also there, in the nanomaterials area, we partner with the ASU, and we've actually licensed a portfolio of patents from ASU on these nanomaterials. We have received a National Science Foundation grant, a Phase 2 grant for this work, and we use our nanomaterials to remove arsenic from drinking water.
And nanomaterials, as I was reading through the material, it's described as a new class of non-porous material. What does that mean?
Nanoporous materials.
Yes.
Our materials are basically clay-like materials. So one important aspect is that they are green materials. Everything we do in our company is green, clean tech. So we don't use any nasty chemicals. And the nanoporous materials, you can consider it like a sponge. Very porous material with a very large surface area. And we can stuff this sponge with active materials, for example, an iron compound in the case of arsenic removal. The iron compound is the active compound that basically adheres to the arsenic and removes it from the water very effectively.
My goodness. When did the company start, and what was your original mission?
About 6 years ago. And the original mission was actually to apply some of the lessons learned from the semiconductor industry to the renewable energy sector and the clean tech sector. Personally, I have a 25-year background in semiconductor capital equipment, where we did basically the same thing, design innovative products that help transition product or technology from the R&D stage to high volume manufacturing. So that was the mission of Nanovoltaics, to do the same thing with a focus on algae and other clean tech applications.
Last question, has that mission changed over time?
Initially we had a strong focus on solar, but with all the difficulties in the solar market, somebody came to us and started talking about algae, and here we are today.
All right, well, and we thank you for joining us tonight on Arizona Horizon.
Thanks for having me.
Thursday on Arizona Horizon, we will have our monthly discussion on Phoenix issues and concerns with Mayor Greg Stanton, and we'll look at a new video game art display at the Phoenix Art Museum. That's at 5:30 and 10 on the next Arizona Horizon. That is it for now. I'm Ted Simons. Thank you so much for joining us. You have a great evening.
Arizona Horizon is made possible by contributions from the Friends of Eight, members of your Arizona PBS station. Thank you.
Support for Arizona technology and innovation on Horizon comes from Intel, helping to transform the lives of millions through education, working with countries, communities, and schools worldwide to bring the resources and solutions needed for advancing education. For information, Intel.com.